Hello. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And this will be recorded. So for people who aren't able to show up, you will be able to watch this later. So welcome. I'm Dr. Nicole Peoples, and this is the Black Women's Guide. So I'm going to jump right in because I have quite a few things I want to get through. But if you have questions, you can put them in the chat at any point in time, or you can save them for the end if you want to ask them, or if you have some more detailed things you want to talk about. So I'm going to get started here. So, what is the Black Women's Guide and why are we talking about this topic? So in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to tell you how you can feel more energized, get better sleep, live a less stressed life, and feel more balanced, all while optimizing your weight and increasing your health span. Now, that seems like a magic wand or a magic pill. It is not. It is just the result of health. And health is absolute freedom, because it allows you to be able to live the life that you truly desire for the longest period of time. And it's important that we focus on that when we talk about our approaches to how we live. And I will get into that in just a moment. But during this talk, I'm going to give you 100% clarity on the steps you need to take to safely and permanently create the health and freedom that you deserve. So I hope that sounds exciting. I want to start off by telling you about one of my clients. This is Ty. She's a 50-year-old woman who exercises 6 days a week, but has persistent and chronic weight gain, knee pain, and swelling after having a knee replacement over a year ago. And she says, I can honestly say after 4.5 weeks in Dr. Peoples' program, I feel like I did when I was 30. My body hasn't felt this good in over a year. My knee pain and swelling are gone, and I can't believe I've lost the weight without having to exercise. So you'll see a couple of testimonials as we go through, and obviously the pictures oftentimes are showing weight loss, and that is one of the benefits of what I'm going to tell you today, but it's not the only benefit. So I hope you guys will be able to see the totality of the impact of what we're going to talk about. So let's start off with who I am. I'm Dr. Nicole Peoples, as I said. I'm a board certified physician in internal medicine, and I've been a practicing hospitalist for the past 15 years. But I also do something called functional medicine, which is considered root cause medicine. So I try to identify the reasons why people get sick as opposed to just putting on Band-Aids. And so my focus is on hormones and longevity. And so that's what I help women do. I help them identify the root cause of their symptoms so that they can live longer and healthier for longer. So I want to just tell you one of the things that I realized during the past couple of years. So I've had a functional medicine practice and have been doing this integrative and holistic approach to medicine since I left medical school. But I was also practicing in the hospital. And during COVID, one of the things that really was impactful to me, and I'm going to go in and out because I like to talk to people. So one of the things that was really heartbreaking was that I was treating so many African-American women who had medical illnesses that made them more susceptible to COVID. And I knew that my functional medicine history, my knowledge in integrative and holistic medicine could have helped a lot of these women not end up in the hospital with me. But at that point, once you've, gotten into the hospital and you have a chronic illness, it's so much harder to use lifestyle and integrative approaches at that point. At that point, you need conventional care. And so one of the things that was so impactful to me was that if I had the tools to help women, particularly Black women, to prevent them from having to see me in the hospital, then I needed to put my full attention towards that. And so that was my clinical assessment or change that happened for me during COVID. But there was something else that was happening. One of the things that we know is that for African-American women and African Americans in general, we have the highest rate of obesity and being overweight, 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes, high blood pressure, and we're more likely to die of the common chronic illnesses like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and we have an increased risk of infant mortality. And so this is something that's been in the background of my knowledge for a really long time. And the question is why are we at higher risk? And not just us, but why is it that our healthcare system failed us in this way? And so keeping that in mind, I said, okay, again, what are the strategies that can actually help reverse this and help women from having to interface with the healthcare system if they don't need to? But there was something else personal going on with me during this time as well. And I want to share this with you because it actually took me quite a few years, even given my medical knowledge, my integrative knowledge, to put the pieces together. And so I want to put them together for you right now. So the impact of the stage of life. So during COVID, I was entering into my 40s. And you may wonder, what is the significance of that? Well, there is a ton of things that are happening specifically in women's bodies that aren't ever addressed in conventional medicine. And so one of the things that happens as you go through your 30s, 40s, and 50s is that your hormones start to decrease. And this is the time when most women are identifying symptoms that they haven't had before. So their metabolism seems to slow down, they're gaining more weight, they're more fatigued, they're having a hard time focusing. And again, the symptoms are going to vary from person to person. But in my own clinical practice, I see it over and over and over again. So something is absolutely happening as you're going through this transition in life. And so the question is, what is that? So this is a graph I like to think about, and I'll just help you understand what we're looking at here. We're looking at the changes in your hormone levels. So in your 10s and your 20s, your teens and 20s, your estrogen levels and your progesterone levels are at their peak. And then over the course of your 30s to 60s or mid 50s, your hormones start to steadily decline. This is just a normal phase part of aging. And most people don't think of themselves as being in this sort of perimenopausal state until they start having hot flashes or difficulty sleeping. But there are a lot of other symptoms that are associated with these changes in hormones. And so it's not a surprise, really, when you think about and you look at this graph, that women are feeling different during this stage of life. And so it's really important that from a clinical perspective, we address these changes that are specific to women. So what are some of the symptoms that women might have? Again, a lot of people only think of the most common symptoms of hormone imbalance. They're only thinking of maybe hot flashes or difficulty sleeping, but there are a ton of symptoms that are associated with this. So irritability, anxiety, weight gain, hair loss, decreased in libido, so the just lack of interest in sex, bloating, and then there could be menstrual issues, changes in your menstrual cycle. There could be issues with fertility. So all of these things are happening, and they can happen. What's so surprising about this that I think a lot of women don't recognize, these changes can start as early as 35. Now, obviously, there are women who are less than 35 who have these symptoms, but specifically between the ages of 35 and 55, and then after, these symptoms can be really related to hormones. So if you're not addressing your hormones, then you're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. And in conventional medicine, what do we typically do? We go to the doctor and we say, hey, I'm having these issues with weight gain. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm having pain. I can't move as well as I used to. I'm depressed. I'm sad. And the doctor will oftentimes check your labs and they'll say, everything looks normal. And so one of the things that's really frustrating is that not only it's possible that our labs are looking normal, but specifically for Black women, oftentimes our symptoms aren't taken seriously. And that when we tell people we're having problems, we're not given the same benefit of the doubt as other races. And this is panned out when we look at the health disparities that are specific to Black women. So how do you address this? Well, number one, you have to acknowledge that there's a problem and that there might be changes that are going on in your body. And then you ask yourself, okay, so what are causing these problems? So I talked a little earlier in that other slide that there are some natural declines in your hormone levels, but there are things in our environment that actually can accelerate or worsen these hormone dysregulations. And so what are those things? Things like inability to sleep or difficulty or not prioritizing sleep, pesticides on foods, having increased stress levels. So it's also this age between 35 and 55 where a lot of women who are high functioning tend to maybe have children, they have elderly parents that are being, who are relying on them, particularly for African Americans, in a way that may not be the case for other races. But then we also just have higher stress levels. you won't know how many women tend to look for divorce during this time in their lives as well, just because the stress is so overwhelming, but it's also an acute change from where they used to feel. But then there are other things like gut health and viral illnesses, the foods that we eat, obviously, and then also just our community and the people we're surrounded by. There's this sort of standard American way of living that isn't helpful for our hormones. And unless we counter what the standard American recommendations are, then we're going to fall prey to the hormonal imbalances as a result of that. So let me tell you a little bit about another client of mine. So this is a 42-year-old woman. She has 2 kids and she has an autoimmune condition. And after applying some of the things that we do in my practice, she says, I'm feeling great. I honestly didn't realize how bloated I was. I've lost 20 pounds, no bloating, thicker hair, clearer skin. My autoimmune condition has significantly improved, and in the first few weeks without any medications. I'm sleeping better, and I feel like I'm more in control of my health and my cravings. So again, pictures here are 1,000 words, but honestly, the biggest win for her was the freedom that she got from her health. So what is the secret? The secret to solving these problems is lifestyle. And this is the area that I focus on, because health is a lifestyle. It's in the small decisions that we make every single day that impact how our bodies respond and how our hormones actually respond. And so really what we want is a prescription for health. So just a little backstory, when I went into medical school, my whole entire mission was to figure out why some people got sick and why some people did not. And you quickly learn when you're in medical school that that's not what they teach you. They teach you how to deal with disease. And so what I had to learn through other trainings, such as functional medicine, integrative medicine, is that to be able to really address health, you have to address the factors that influence health. And so there are some unifying factors that influence health. And so when I created my practice, what I did was I organized those root causes and figured out what were the simplest lifestyle interventions that people could make on a day-to-day basis that would influence their health. And I call that approach the People's Life Prescription. So I'm going to share with you today some of the highlights of the People's Life Prescription and how you can implement them when you get off of this call. So I focus on several areas, but here are my top 7. So personal life, which is really about intention and what your intention for your health is and for your life is. And then food life has to do with food. So here's the thing about what we usually tell people about health. They always say, eat less, exercise more, and that you will be healthy. But food life is just one component. It is about what you eat. It is how you eat. It's about the timing of your eating. So it's not just eat less and exercise more. So sleep life, which is all about sleep. Fit life, which is all about movement, not just going to the gym. Connected life, which is really important. It's about the people we're around and the community that we build. Detox life has to do with the toxins we're exposed to, and then resilient life has to do with stress. So the idea here is to fully address the issues that are happening in, or the symptoms that are happening in your own body. It's not as simple as saying, I'm just going to change or eat less. It's about addressing all of these. But it's not overwhelming because it's really things that we're already doing. We're just looking for ways to enhance it. And knowing the things to do make the biggest difference. So I'm going to give you your hormone prescription. Some of the key areas that I think if you were to implement today, that would totally change the way that you feel, totally change how you are approaching your health and wellness. So the prescription is really simple. We're going to focus on 3 specific areas: eating whole foods, prioritizing sleep, and time-restricted eating. Okay, so there are definitely more than this, but these 3 are my top suggestions. And again, whenever we're making changes, we want to focus on the simplest things that we can actually implement. So what does it mean to eat whole foods? So people come to me all the time and they ask me, what's the perfect diet? And that is actually quite easy answered for me. But I first have to dispel a lot of the things that people are often told. So there are so many diets out there. So there is the keto diet, there's vegetarian, there's vegan, and everybody who prescribes to one of these diets or food plans swears by it. Like it's the only diet that is right for everybody. And in personalized medicine, which is what I do, there is not one perfect diet for everyone, but there is one perfect strategy that crosses all of these diets, and it's whole foods. And so really you can meet a vegetarian who eats really poorly, or you can eat a person who does keto, which is usually high in fat, who eats really, really well. So there isn't really, there aren't always specific or perfect ways within a specific food plan. You have to know the core. So what does it mean to eat whole foods? It means to focus on foods that either grow out of the ground or that graze on the ground. So that means you can be a vegetarian or you can eat meat, but you want to make sure that when you're eating foods that they are whole foods and not processed. So when you go to the grocery store, most of the processed foods would be down the aisles, and most of the whole foods would be, when you think about the way a grocery store is set up, on the perimeter. So focusing on the meats, the vegetables, the fruits, and the grains, which you may find in some of the aisles. But the point here is that you want to focus on foods that actually grow out of the ground. This is a huge, huge shift for a lot of people, even for those of my clients who say that they eat really, really well. But when you learn to do it correctly, it's addressing multiple areas. It's addressing personal life, because it's really a personal decision when you're around everyone who's eating whatever is available, making a decision that, no, I'm not going to eat just what everybody else is eating. I'm going to eat what's good for my body. That's a personal decision that you make. It helps with detoxification, because for our body to detoxify, even hormones, it needs specific foods. So what are those foods that they need? We need green leafy vegetables. We need things out of the cruciferous vegetable group, which would be things like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. And we need allium vegetables, things like garlic, onions, and leeks. So when you eat whole foods, you're actually getting the nutrients that you need to detoxify. And this is hugely important with estrogen and progesterone and all of your hormones, actually. It also helps you detox from your metabolic hormones. So a lot of people, when I talk about hormones, they think I'm only talking about sex hormones, but I'm also talking about metabolic hormones like insulin. And so it helps your body to detoxify from some of the imbalances in those metabolic hormones as well. Obviously, it's about food and what you're eating, but it's also about connection. So food is very personal, and particularly within the African-American community, we like to eat in community. And so oftentimes, even for me, when I try to eat in a healthy way, there's a lot of negative talk or judgment that comes along with you saying that you're going to eat only whole foods. I'm not going to eat that hot dog per se that I grew up on. And so there's some stigma attached to actually wanting to eat healthy oftentimes. So who you surround yourself with and doing and making these changes in community is really important to supporting your behavior change to be able to live that healthy life. And then also the foods that you eat obviously affect your energy levels and your ability, not just to go to the gym, but the energy to take a walk, your energy to be able to build muscle. All of these sorts of things are affected by the foods we eat. And by eating whole foods and simply making that the change in your diet has a profound effect on all of these areas of your life that can influence your health. So the second one is prioritizing sleep. So what do I mean by this? So again, if you're interested in losing weight, if you have an autoimmune condition that you're concerned about, if you've got diabetes or hypertension, most people don't realize that you're going to have a really hard time addressing those issues from a holistic standpoint if you're not sleeping. It is the number one thing that I recommend for people to do when they are trying to get control of their health. And oftentimes we're taught to just go, go, go. And if you're not addressing your sleep, it causes your hormones to fall out of place, and it's as if you're fighting against a boulder. So if you noticed, if you're a person who's trying to lose weight and you've been, you swear that you're eating all the right things, you're eating whole foods, you're not eating processed foods, you're exercising every single day, but you're not losing the weight. Or if you're a person who has high blood pressure, you're taking all of your medications every single day, but your blood pressure is still high, and you're not getting sleep and you're not prioritizing sleep, that may be the missing link. So how do you do that? So some really simple strategies. Number one is to decide that you're going to get 8 hours of sleep. That seems really simple, but a lot of people don't do that. They assume that they can go to sleep whenever they want to and wake up whenever they want to, because when they were 20, they were able to do that. But as our bodies change, as I told you before, our hormones drop and our bodies can't sustain that indefinitely. So number one is prioritizing a bedtime and a wake time every single night, with the idea of getting 8 hours of sleep. Even if you don't actually get those 8 hours, you really got to make that a priority. Creating a sleep routine. So a lot of people understand the idea of a sleep routine for children, right? You read them a bedtime story, you put them in the bathtub, and they wind down. A lot of people think as you get older, you don't need that routine, but that is totally not true. We all need to be able to transition from our day into our night. And that sleep routine is going to be independent from one person to the next. But some things that I recommend, and the things that I do, I love a bath. Not everybody does, but I do. But that warm water actually helps your body know it's time to go to sleep. Hot tea, it's another thing that warms up your central core, and it helps your body know that it's time to sleep. And you can choose specific teas like chamomile or lavender, because those have been shown to actually enhance sleep. Also, maybe reading a book, so shutting your brain down. So a lot of people, particularly as our hormones are going down, we tend to get that rambling brain at night. And so we really have to structure our sleep in a way that we help to slow that down. And so reading a book, doing a meditation, doing deep breathing, all of those techniques are really helpful to helping you get to sleep. Now, for a lot of women, as they go through menopause, however, they may actually have hormonal imbalances that are really fighting against them. And you may actually need a little bit of progesterone to help you with that. But I usually tell people, let's not start there. Let's start with some of the lifestyle interventions and see what's left over after that. So this is the one area where I often do recommend supplementation with botanicals. If you're really having a hard time with sleeping, because sleep is so important. So the last one is time-restricted eating, oftentimes referred to as intermittent fasting. But this is really important because there's a lot of misinformation about the way we're supposed to eat and when we're supposed to eat. And so I encourage people to start off with a 12-12 fast. So what that means is that you eat within a 12-hour window, and then you don't eat anything within a 12-hour window. So that means if your last meal was at 7 p.m., you wouldn't have your next meal until 7 a.m. This is hugely important in balancing your metabolic hormones. And your metabolic hormones are extremely important in midlife. It's also extremely important if you're trying to get pregnant. It's also extremely important if you have diabetes or some other medical conditions. So what I usually recommend is people to start with a 12-12 fast. Because doing this will allow you to balance the hormones that help with not only sleep, but stress. It also helps with making sure you're eating the right things. It also helps with detoxification. So a couple of tips around this. I usually tell people to stop eating at least 3 hours before bedtime. That enhances your sleep. I also recommend that people monitor how their body feels during their fasting window and during their eating window, because what you can tell a lot about your body, about how it responds to eating and not eating. You'll find that your energy might increase. You find that your sleep improves. You find that your stress actually improves. And once you can actually pinpoint that eating in a 12-12 hour window actually helps you in these areas, it makes it so much easier to abide by that long term. The other thing is that over time, you may want to shorten your feeding window. So some people will do 14-10, so that they fast for 14 hours and they eat within a 10-hour window. I typically do an 8-6. So I eat within an 8-hour window and I fast for 16 hours. This may be contrary to some of the things that you might have heard in the past, where someone might say, nope, you need to eat 6 small meals a day. You need to be eating all day. The problem with that is it causes your insulin levels, one of those hormones that we're trying to balance, to constantly be elevated. And insulin, when it's constantly elevated, is the fat storage hormone. So it just tells your body to hold on to more fat. So particularly if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, this can be very, very harmful, particularly if you're trying to lose weight at the same time. So the last thing I want to share with you is that health is super communal. We talked a little bit about this in when I talked about the connected life prescription. So again, we are communal beings. The way we the decisions that we make are heavily influenced by the people we surround ourselves with. And one of the things that I truly believe, because I was raised by a plethora of Black women, is that when Black women are healing themselves, they heal each other. So when we work in community, it's not just a matter of me taking care of myself, but my children get better, my spouse gets better, my friends get better, because they're seeing what I'm doing, but by them living a life that is healthy also encourages me. So choosing the right environment can absolutely help. So this is sort of the approach that I take, and I'm hoping that a lot of the things that I've been able to share with you today, you'll be able to implement as soon as we get off of this call. But I also want to be able to let you know a little bit about the work that I do in the event that you're interested in working with me to accomplish these goals. So the health prescription that I give people is something I call the Black Women's Guide. And that's actually a play on the word. It is a guide to helping you improve your health, hormones, and longevity, but I am also the guide. So in this program, I help you navigate this process. And I want to tell you a little bit about the program that I created as a result of all of the things that we just talked about. So I created the program, which is called the Black Women's Guide to Health and Hormones. It's an 8-week online course, and it allows me to be able to communicate and share this knowledge with you in a way that is digestible and actionable. And we do it over an 8-week period. And what it encompasses is it encompasses weekly lives with me. So we are able to go over these topics, but we're also able to implement a strategy, and you get one-on-one support and group support to be able to do that. So weekly lives allow us to communicate with everyone in the group, but it also allows us to use that support from everyone in the group to be able to support the behavior changes that we're trying to make. Then there's also one-on-one health coaching with the health coach. So that really allows you to personalize this experience so that we can get you the best results. And then there's a program manual. So there's an actual program I failed to mention. And in that program, we tell you exactly what to eat, when to eat, how to improve your sleep, how to improve your stress, how to detoxify. So all of those health prescriptions that I talked to you about earlier are all encompassed, and everything you need to know is in the program. And during the weekly lives and our one-on-ones, that's when we're able to support you through going through it. So you're not doing it by yourself. You also get direct messaging. So if you have questions along the way, you have that support. And then you also have a closed Facebook group that allows us to communicate and to share information like this and so much more. So is this program right for you? So here are the people who this program is right for. If you're interested in losing weight, but you don't have to want to lose weight, because the program can be tailored to sustain weight or maintain weight as well. But here's the thing. I always tell people, if you want to lose weight, you start by getting healthy and the weight can't stay on. And if you want to maintain weight, then again, you want to optimize how your body functions so that weight doesn't stay on or increase as you get older. So you want to get to the root cause of your symptoms. So if you are just a person who's like, listen, I've got high blood pressure, what's the pill to take? Well, then this is not the program for you. This is people who are really wanting to figure out what's going on and how do I get to or address the root causes. If you just want to feel better, and I know that seems very lighthearted, but the reality is that so many women aren't feeling their best and they just want to feel like they did 10 years ago. If you want to age smarter, so that means if you like all of us are aging each year, then we want to be able to do that in a way that we're not ending up like the average American who is on 4 medications by the age of 65. That's average. If you're wanting to age smarter than the average, then this program is right for you. You want more energy, better sleep, balanced hormones. You want to stop guessing. You want to get to that root cause again, and you want to heal in a community. This program is right for you. So what is it required? What's required of you? Number one, that you're committed to your health and you're ready to make healthy choices. Again, if you're a person who just wants a quick fix, instead of a sustainable long-term change in your health, then not the right program for you. If you're coachable, so if you're willing to make changes in the way that you live so that you can live longer and better and healthier, then this is the right program and you're ready. If you're open-minded, and if you're looking to grow, you're looking to evolve. I always tell people health is a journey. You don't have to get it perfect the first time around. We have a whole entire lifetime to get this right. So being open-minded to growing is absolutely essential. You're willing to make changes, because we're obviously going to recommend that, and willing to try something new. So a lot of what I'm saying, some of it might be things you're already doing, but the other question is, what aren't you doing, and how can you do what you're already doing better if you're willing to try something new? And if you want to be an inspiration to the people who are around you, if you have family members and friends who really would be impacted by you making better lifestyle choices, then this is the right program for you. So what do you get? So you get safe and rapid permanent weight loss, if that's what you're looking for. You get to look and feel your best, and with more vibrant energy, deep and restful sleep, greater mental clarity, more confidence, better digestion, lower stress levels, feeling more peaceful and grateful, balanced blood sugar, and a greater self-love and self-care. So this program is specifically designed to address all of these issues. It is not a program focused on eating less calories and exercising more. It's about really healing holistically. So some of the 3 myths that I hear all the time. So I've tried everything. I hear this from just about everyone. But those who've gone through this program realize that there was so much that they have been missing. And even for me, as a person who was trained in medicine, I'm still learning things every single day about how to improve the way I age and my health overall. I don't have time. This is often another, like, is this the right time for me? I've got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling. That, this is a very stressful period in my life. And I always like for people to, number one, realize that some of the things are just as simple as changing the things that you're already doing, or doing those things better. So we all have to eat, we all have to sleep, we all have to move. The question is, can we optimize those so that our health is better? But the other thing about time that it took me a while to also recognize this is that, you know how much time we spend on other things that we find to be a priority. So when I think about how long I spent on my education, how much effort I spend on my kids' after school activities, all the things that all the time I spent on building my career. The question is when do we take time to take care of ourselves? How much time have we given towards that? And so really taking this time out, specified time where you're going to be supported, to me is probably one of the biggest time investments you can make. And then the last myth is I can figure this out on my own. And that's absolutely true. But I could do my taxes on my own, but I still hire somebody to help me do that. I could do a lot of things on my own, but one of the things that I absolutely know is that doing things in community have such a greater impact on longevity and sustainability. So if you're able to make all of these changes and see the benefits, imagine how much more you'd be able to get when working with people who have been trained in these concepts. So it's time to say goodbye to excess weight, low energy, poor sleep, cravings, emotional eating, pain and inflammation, hormone imbalances, tasteless diets, intense workouts, yo-yo dieting, low self-esteem, all of the above. If that is where you are, then I would totally recommend that you book a discovery call with me. And I'll tell you how to do that as soon as I tell you about one of my other clients. So she says, I'm feeling great. The inflammation is gone. The headache is gone. I feel lighter, freer, slimmer. I'm like, I need to continue this because I don't have the aches and pains I did before. And Dr. Peoples is teaching me uh, a lost wisdom of the foremothers, the wisdom of knowing how to listen to your body and respond with compassionate action. I love this quote from her because that's really my intention, is to really tap into those things that were passed down for generations that maybe we've lost in translation, and so that we can actually live the life that we deserve. So my last few questions for you is, what is at risk if you do nothing? So obviously, if you're interested in this program, or if you're interested in changing your life, if you don't do anything, if you don't take intervention, if you don't take action, what could we potentially be losing? Is that the quality of our life? Is it energy? Is it time spent with family? Is it time spent alone and at peace in your own body? Is it your freedom that might be at risk? So really identifying what your options are, okay? And then lastly, what will change in my life after you complete this journey? So if you're able to achieve the things that we talk about in this program, how will your life change? What will improve? And how do you think that will impact the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your life? So isn't it about time we took care of ourselves? This is something that when I started this program, that was the question to me. When is the right time to take care of ourselves, to grow, to be better, healthier, vibrant people? It's time. So here's how to get in contact with me. Number one, go to the www.blkwomensguide.com. That's www.blackwomensguide.com. There you can learn more about my program, you can learn more about me, and you can set up a discovery call. A discovery call is an opportunity for us to get on a call where I can give you where I can listen to your story and really figure out what the best next strategy is for you. Even if you decide that this is not the right program for you or not the right time, I promise you'll walk away with some ideas about what is the right next step. And that is my goal, is to spread this knowledge to as many women as I can, women of color who are in need of a change in the way that they look, feel, and age. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. And that's it. And just so you know, we will be able to get a repeat of this. This is being recorded, as stated before, and will be sent out to you. So if you have more questions, or if you know someone who might be interested in this and you want to share this information with them, you'll be able to do that. So if there are no questions, I will see you guys at the next one, at the next opportunity. Oh, also follow me on dr.NicolePeoples on Instagram, and Dr. Nicole Peoples on LinkedIn, and Dr. Nicole Peoples on Facebook, and Dr. Nicole Peoples on YouTube. Good question. So one of the questions is, I'm resistant to supplements and giving up ice cream. I think that's what she's saying. So here's the really great thing about this program. I also don't believe in overdosing on supplements. Now, I do love a good supplement for a good reason, but what I don't recommend, particularly during this program, is treating you with supplements. What we're really doing is we are focusing on lifestyle, and then we're figuring out what our body actually needs. So there are no supplements on this in this journey. There is homeopathic drops, metabolic drops that we do, but that's the only thing, and that's optional, and you get that as a part of the program. And giving up on things like ice cream or sweets, obviously this is a short period of time, what I call your therapeutic window. And so what we're doing during this program is we are allowing our bodies to reset. The reasons why a lot of people have a problem giving up their cravings is because they haven't given their bodies an opportunity to take control of your cravings. So right now, if your cravings are controlling you, that means that you walk into a store or you go to an event and these foods are irresistible. You have no willpower or strength to withstand having whatever is being put in front of you. What this program will do by the end of this program is that you'll still be able to enjoy your ice cream. You just won't be controlled by it, right? You won't be in a position where you don't feel like you have the power to say yes or no. And during this program, by following the program, you're able to gain that bodily confidence so that you're not forcing yourself anymore, where it's not a struggle. So I think, you know, it is a short period of time that will change the rest of your life. And so I think sometimes it's worth taking that time out to invest in yourself so that you can figure out, are you always going to be sort of succumb to the foods that are always around you, or can you gracefully choose what you want? So I hope to see you, and I'd love to get on a call and talk about how this program might work for you. And if there are any other questions, please let me know, or schedule a discovery call and we can answer them then. All right. Thank you, guys.